Hello. We made it. We are not in costume though, but work got away from us. And
Hello, everybody.
Before we knew it, it was time to go live.
Yeah, we've been very busy in our final days here before launching.
If you're here, write in the chat. Tell us
Yeah,
that you're alive and well. Tell us what you were for Halloween.
it's not Halloween yet.
It's Halloween weekend.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm sure you guys are more fun than us and partied it up yesterday. We did do a murder mystery game night yesterday, though.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Just with some other boaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never done anything like that before. We play a lot of games, as you guys have probably seen in the episodes. A lot of board games. And I think once or twice we pulled out the PlayStation and played that too.
Yeah.
But we've never done a murder mystery. That was fun.
It was fun. Everybody was really into it, which made it fun. There's potential for it to not be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was entirely blue because yesterday's big job was doing the bottom paint. So we woke up extra early, got there. We tested the bimini. That went super well. Emily's been sewing a brand new bimini. And test fit that. It went super well. And then started painting the bottom. I turned blue in the process. It was tough. It was very itchy.
Cassie's being the Malfoy family from Harry Potter. That's awesome.
Nice.
Are you all really blonde? Or are there wigs involved?
Let's see. What else have we been up to?
Wigs for sure. Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be super fun. Yeah, that was the biggest. The bimini was the biggest, most complicated sewing project I've ever taken on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so happy to see that it fit and I didn't have to redo anything. That was cool.
Did you post any of it onto the Patreon yet?
No, I haven't. I have all the videos. I haven't snipped them together yet. So I'll post an update this coming week about the bimini fit.
Yeah. We're going to add some solar attachments to it. And Emily and I can't agree on what the design looks like.
Yeah.
And we keep trying to describe it without drawing it, and it never goes well. So we just have to sit down and draw with a piece of paper.
Yeah, Will did try to draw it out for me when we initially talked about it, and I still couldn't grasp it. So hopefully this time goes better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really exciting. Everything else for the solar project's already been installed. We have the charge controllers, the wires coming through the solar arch. Wires going to the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to plug in those solar panels. We'll be done.
The final link. But it is Q&A, so please write in with your questions. We're happy to answer what you got.
Mm-hmm. I can also talk for another 20 minutes on boat projects.
Gives you the down low. We're out of our apartment in the end of this week. We'll be back living on the boat. So this is the last Q&A that'll happen from the apartment. It'll be boat from here on out. That's exciting.
Yeah.
We're ready to get back.
Random destinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both excited to get back on the water. This is the longest we've been anywhere for the past 15 months.
Yeah. It's weird to think about.
Mm-hmm. We have our routines now. It's kind of fun. We can go to the grocery store. I know the aisles where all the food is.
Yeah. We've learned Penasco pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel like you more so than me.
I'm out there a lot more because I have a bike.
Yeah. You go a lot farther.
Yeah.
It's too hot to be walking like that.
Oh, for sure. The bike's critical.
Yeah.
The bike was one of the things that I guess is kind of a compromise because it's a full-size bike. So it doesn't fit anywhere storage-wise very well.
Yeah.
When we have guests on board, it becomes a little bit of a hassle.
Yeah, it's big and bulky.
Yeah. It still works.
Yeah.
Try to get rid of.
It's definitely come in handy often enough that it's worth keeping.
Mm-hmm.
Having the bike. We do wish we had foldable bikes, but they're pretty expensive, and we've heard mixed reviews on many different brands. So that's something that will require a lot more research before we invest in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you always know you wanted to live on a boat? You for sure. I feel like this is your childhood dream.
Mm-hmm.
Come true.
Yeah. Sitting in Penasco. Yeah, I have known for a very long time that I wanted to sail around the world. It was probably at like somewhere between age 8 and 10
Yeah.
was when I was kind of like leaning that way. And since that point on, I was doing like small things to prepare. And I remember like at that early stage, I would stand in the shower with it just all the way cold and keep my eyes open and pretend I was in a storm. And then I had like a little fan that I kept next to the bed to blow in my face.
Oh, to like get your skin used to like wind burn.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it's been a long time coming to get here.
Yeah. I feel like I always had the goal to travel like full time at some point in my like 20s and 30s, but sailing wasn't on my radar until I met Will. And then we talked about it like almost as soon as we started dating. It was like, you really wanted to go do this thing and I really wanted to travel. And we kind of came to the conclusion that like we could do that together. And then from that conversation, it just like evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the time that we seriously started talking about it, like we could actually do this thing and it would be really cool. Let's like hunker down and figure out what we need to make that happen. From that point, it took us 7 years to actually buy the boat, move aboard, and leave.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty long process.
Yeah, and it involved flipping another boat in the meantime.
Yeah, we bought.
So it was a very elaborate plan as well.
Yeah, we bought Nelly, which was the 20-foot Flicka, and it was like a complete overhaul. Will did all kinds of work on that thing, replaced basically all the electrical, did a complete outer refit, so new paint, new wood, re-step the mast, like everything on the outside.
A lot of work.
Which is super beneficial because we learned so much about boat systems in general that when we moved onto the Catalina, it was like we already had like 1 foot in the door with that type of experience, which was really helpful.
I'm smirking because that was all part of the elaborate plan.
It was. It really was. That wasn't just something that we could buy this really cool boat and half-ass do the thing. No, it was like, we're going to buy this boat as the precursor to like living aboard. It worked out great.
I had to work with fiberglass, all the paints and epoxies. Marine grade materials just are so much more touchy, I feel like, than home construction materials. So it definitely has a learning curve to it.
You have to be like more particular about the things that you use in marine because they break down so easily. They're exposed to UV, they're exposed to salt. So you have to use so much more like robust chemicals that they're harder to find and work with. So it was good to get used to that. But we were kind of like trapped in Chicago for 6 years, which like might be a bit of a overkill of a statement. But I was in the apprenticeship program for my union. And so I couldn't leave. I had set myself the goal of graduating from my apprenticeship and getting my journeyman's union card. And that was a 5-year apprenticeship. So we could have technically left Chicago a lot earlier and like bought the bigger boat and started like doing longer like weekend or week-long trips if we moved back to the coast. But I kind of trapped us there because of my apprenticeship. It worked out though. It was fine.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because we talked about this elaborate plan. Chicago was like a little bit of a mistake. Probably shouldn't have picked that city.
Hindsight 2020.
Yeah, hindsight 2020 because there's no ocean. And
big lake though.
Big lake, big bathtub
Big
of a
bathtub.
lake. Oh, yeah. What was the second part of that? Oh, how long did it take? Yeah. We did, or at least I was always thinking of like taking Nelly, the smaller boat, when I was like having really terrible times at work. I was like, we should just say, fuck it now. Take Nelly, start cruising, figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And Emily talked me off that ledge a number of times.
There was probably once every like, I want to say like 4 to 6 months, I would come home from work and Will would be like, okay, so we take Nelly and we trailer her to the coast and we just leave. And I'm like, I'm not living on a 20-foot boat. I'm sorry. I'm putting my foot down here. I'm not living on a 20-foot boat.
Beautiful looking 20-foot boat.
She was really beautiful.
Yeah.
We became like famous with the Chicago Coast Guard. Like everybody knew our boat because it was such a different style boat than what's normally out there. A lot of it is like, a lot of boats in Chicago are more what you would consider like the charter boats. So they're the Genots and Dufours and Veneto's production boats. And we had this like little clunky 70s classic style boat.
Yeah.
And so anytime they did the air and water show or just like anytime there was a lakefront event happening and we were out there, the Coast Guard would like find our boat and like give us the best spot for whatever was going on. It was really cool.
Yeah, consistently they would move all the boats around us backwards.
Yeah, if there was so like Chicago does the Air and Water Show every year, and it's a big display, and they have to set like a safety boundary.
It was my favorite weekend.
Yeah.
Of the year. Air and Water Show.
They have to set like a safety boundary, and we were always you could see them looking for us every year. They would set us as like the safety boundary in whatever area we were in. So we got like front row seats to the Air and Water Show. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was. Oh, we could also talk a little bit about. We did a week-long trip in Nelly, and we went north. That was Wisconsin.
Yeah, we did it a couple years in a row where we trailered her somewhere else and drop her in the water, because the cool part about the Flicka was that you could raise the mast from the water, so we could trailer her, launch her, and then raise the mast once we were already in, and that was really nice. So we used to do summer camp. We did a couple years in a row where we took the boat to Green Bay, Sister Bay, whatever place was called in Wisconsin, and spent a week as like trial running, living aboard.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, we always have fun. Yeah. And then when we got married, we did our honeymoon on like a real full-size boat. We honeymooned in the Bahamas and did a week-long charter on a Dufour 412 Grand Large, which was like a comparable size to Appa. And so we spent a week on that boat, just kind of feeling out what it would be like in a like real full-size boat, which was beneficial.
Yeah, at that time, Emily and I were still not on the same page for our ideal boat. We hadn't found the CM440 yet. And her perspective was more towards the modern ones, like the Dufour 412 Grand Large. And mine was still more towards like the Flickas, just like a bigger Flicka.
Yeah.
So we did meet in the middle. We did meet in the middle where I wouldn't have to do all the boat work like I did with the Flicka. So I wanted something a little more modern. But the Dufour did not hold up very well during our week-long trip in the Bahamas. Which
we saw, it was a blessing and a curse. We saw extreme weather during that week that we were unprepared for, because none of our communication instruments on the charter boat worked. So we didn't have a working VHF, which meant we didn't have weather reports coming in. And we got caught in a storm that was like blowing 40 knots and the waves were like 8 to 12 feet. And we were going against the wind, against the waves for the entirety of the day that we had to return the boat. And it was easily one of the worst experiences of our life. It was horrible, but it was also a bit of a blessing, because by the time we got back, I had completely done a 180 and was like, we are not buying a production boat. I'm never going through this again. Every single wave. And granted, the boat was pretty empty because it was just our week-long belongings on there. No like stockpile of groceries or safety equipment or whatever. So it's pretty light, but every single time the boat came down on a wave, I thought that the boat was going to break in half. The sounds that boat made will haunt me in my dreams for the rest of my life. It was terrible. So definitely, like, if we could give a good piece of advice, it would be trial run boats if you can. Just get yourself, even if you're not taking it out to sail, get yourself on as many boats as you can. We toured probably 10 or 15 before we found the CM440 online and went and saw it in person. So the more you step onto boats, the more you realize what you like, what you don't like, what you really can't live without. Like, we looked at some that we really loved on paper, but as soon as we stepped aboard, there wasn't enough headroom for Will, and you're 5'11", just under 6 feet. So it's like, are you really going to live full time in a boat that you can't even stand up in? So stuff like that, you aren't thinking about it as clearly on paper as you are when you step in person.
Yep. And then when you finally do find one, and if you go the financing route, it's like prove that you're a capable sailor in order to buy it. So we had to give them resumes on our sailing experience and credentials.
Yeah. And we like comically beefed up our resumes. It was like we had done regattas maybe like 3 total times in Chicago.
I thought mine was pretty accurate.
We beefed ours up a little bit. Not that we were lying in any way, but we made ourselves sound very official in our sailing resumes. It wasn't like we weren't lying about our capabilities. It was just using everything to our advantage.
Mhm.
Any experience we possibly had.
Mhm. Yeah, and then our big difficulty was that our previous boat was less than half the size of the new boat. So our last boat was 20 feet, and the new boat was 44 feet. And they said that set off a red flag in the insurance company's system. So we had to go through the similar process with them, explaining why we were capable to handle a 44-foot boat if we had only owned a 20-foot boat.
Yeah, and that was where saying that we had taken part in those regattas, because those were all like 40-foot regattas, that was where that kind of experience came in. The honeymoon, being on a 40-foot boat, that helped us out a lot.
Mhm.
How long have we been sailing? You've been sailing longer than me. You introduced
Mhm.
me to sailing.
Mhm.
And we've been sailing together for almost 10 years.
When did I introduce you to sailing?
When we first started dating. We've been together for almost a decade.
Okay.
But you did that. You've been sailing since you were like a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, none of my family sails. But again, I was like infatuated with the idea of sailing around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with a remote control sailboat that we built. My dad and I built. It's called the Micro Magic. I remember it had blue sails. I think it's still sitting around somewhere.
I think it's in your parents' beach house.
And I learned on that, and then I really didn't do much else sailing wise until I bought my own boat, the first boat in LBI in New Jersey. And it was like a 17-foot boat found on Craigslist for a couple $100. And she gave us an even better deal. Me and my buddy went to pick it up, and she was like, "I'll sell it to you for cheap, but you have to promise me you'd never take this in the ocean."
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, "All right, fair enough." So we use it as a bay boat. But that's where I probably learned the most, just messing around in that little boat, and had like a swing up keel. So I would hit ground all the time and just swing up.
Yeah. Yeah, that boat we broke that boat. We almost sank that boat.
Yeah. That was a crazy day.
Yeah. Another storm. Will and I like to think that we bring the storms with us everywhere we go, because every like sailing event or like anything that we do that's like semi-organized ends up being overrun by weather. But the day that we almost sank that boat, we also got caught in a storm, and the mast fell into the water on that boat. It was bad. We kind of got like stranded in the Barnegat Bay in LBI.
Yeah, we were close enough. We just like
we hooked onto a random
in.
mooring ball, and it was only like 5 feet deep in the bay where we were, but it was like choppy weather, so it wasn't like comfortable to be in the water. But like you guys could stand at least. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was scary when it happened though.
Yeah, that was the end of La Libertadora.
Yeah. The boat that you spray painted with Rust-Oleum, spray painted it black with Rust-Oleum.
It was the latex. I used a brush. You can see brush strokes in it. It was black and it had a big red sun on the front.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I remember the big red sun. You painted like a tendril down the side of the boat.
Yeah, a lot of fun with that boat.
Yeah, any experience is good experience though. If you have friends with boats, hang out with them. Anybody who's like looking for crew for regattas, always good.
Yeah, I think there's a website called findacrew.net. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's something like that, if it's not that exactly. And I've heard that works pretty well. We met other cruisers last season who found their crew on that website.
Yeah.
So you could sign up to be crew.
And a lot of times, especially if you're sailing with like cruiser type people, they're not looking for you to be like running back and forth, doing lines and yada yada, like somebody in a like actual like race would be looking for. So.
Yeah, I raced while in college, and then kept up with it a few times as an adult. But I never really got into the racing mentality. I was always comfortable with the cruising mentality. Yeah,
it's a whole different beast. Regattas.
Yeah. So like if you do get into a regatta, it's good because you have to learn very specific things. But you almost never use that in the cruising life. Like cruising, you're just watching the weather more than anything.
It is good to like kind of like hone your instincts for emergency situations though, because you have to react so quickly to things going on around you that like you get to know the like mechanics of sailing a lot faster, and it becomes more like muscle memory. So if you're in a sticky situation, it's easier to react.
I do think it's smart to start on a boat that has a tiller instead of a wheel. You just get a better feel for it. If you never sailed at all, that's a good place to start.
I agree. As someone who learned VAU, I also agree. We had a tiller on Nelly, and now we have a steering wheel on Alpha. They're totally different. If it's not too personal, how did y'all meet? We met in college, actually. Okay, that's a little bit of a funny story. There's a funny aspect of this. We were just freshmen. We both went to Penn State. We were just freshmen in college, and it like wasn't some like crazy thing. But one of our mutual friends, Will went up to him and was like, because we had co-ed dorm floors, so half the floor was boys and half the floor was girls, and so our mutual friend lived on my floor in our dorm, and Will knew, I don't know how you met Luke, but Will knew him as well. It was like, I really wish I had more like platonic female friends. Like there's always the like expectation of when you meet someone of the opposite gender that there's like flirting involved. So you were like, I just want more platonic female friends. And our friend Luke was like, oh, let me introduce you to this girl that lives on my floor. And we used to have like floor-wide movie nights. And he came to one of our movie nights, and safe to say it ended up not being a platonic friendship.
Yeah, now we're married.
High five.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's how we met.
That's history. Yeah. We also got a comment from Bo.
Then we traveled around a bunch.
Yeah.
Moved different places.
Yeah.
Moved a lot of times.
We did move a lot. That's like par for the course for you, though.
Yeah, and we got a fast introduction to my lifestyle.
Yeah, growing up, Will moved every like 3 to 5 years. And as soon as he graduated college, it was like, okay, we're moving to Chicago. And we didn't stay in the same apartment in Chicago for longer than like, I don't know, like 16, 18 months at a time. We were moving like almost every year and a half, just like for circumstances. Mission failed successfully. So true.
Yeah, I didn't.
Bo is asking if we've discussed what repairs or upgrades will be done. No, I don't think we have. Well, we talked about the solar, but that was brief.
Yeah, we'll try to. I think we can give them access to some of the Google Sheets, right? I wonder if I could share the project list with you guys.
Oh yeah,
in Patreon. And I think we've done about 100 projects in the past 3 months.
Yeah.
I think there's about 120 to start with. We had to add some as we went and more things broke. So I think that's like 130. And I think we have done almost all of them now. Yesterday was a really big one. That was the bottom paint. We already did the propellers. We're doing zincs tomorrow. So under the waterline, we're looking pretty good.
Will was entirely blue yesterday when we got done at the boatyard. Yeah. We walked out of the boatyard, and all of the like night guards at the yard were looking at him like, you need to leave. Like, you need to go take a shower right now. It was so bad.
Yeah, I didn't paint myself. Everyone thought that I just like painted myself blue. Like,
it was so thick.
Continuously dropped the roller, I guess, until I was covered. Actually, when Emily first saw me, she went and looked around the boat for see if she could like find where I leaned against it.
Yeah, I was doing something in the cabin, and I came down and I looked and I was like, did you lean up against the fresh paint? Like in my head, I'm like, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? And then I did a lap around the boat and there was no like body print. He was like, oh, it's just the dust. I'm like, that is a really thick coating of dust.
Yeah. Yeah. The bad part of bottom jobs is the sanding. So I did that a couple days ago. And
then the dust like lingers. Everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, under the water line's good. We replaced the bimini.
Yeah, replaced the bimini, replaced the little strip that goes between that and the Dodger, moved the old solar panels on the Dodger. We're about to mount 4 new solar panels, which is going to be
so solar heavy next year. We're so excited. That was probably the biggest job.
That's the most money we put in. That was the most expensive change. Followed by engine parts. But engine parts, none of them were like fun. We didn't do any like upgrades. It was just maintenance, needing to replace a lot of different pieces. And those add up. Plus, we have a bunch of spares. I'm not expecting to have good access to parts until we get like closer to the Caribbean, maybe back towards the States even.
Yeah.
So I have almost 2 years worth of spares on board for very specific engine parts. Like I know I won't be able to find anywhere else.
Yeah.
We also got a new freezer.
Yeah. So excited about that.
Yeah, it's a real one. And it pulls like 1 to 2 amps. And it's quiet and it's big. And we're going to have sashimi now. Pretty excited for that.
Yeah. We're hoping to do a lot more fishing this coming year and be able to like keep more fish. We were catching like 1 every trip last year just to like keep the freezer happy.
Yeah.
But to answer your other question, Bo, we are intending to come to the East Coast of the States. That's where both of our families are. So for now, this coming year is going to be, we're hoping to get through the canal by hurricane season. So between end of July and middle of August, that's like what we're aiming for, get through the canal. And then we'll spend next year, not this coming year, but the following year in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas. And then from there, we will go back to the States on the East Coast. That's like kind of the plan right now. Everything's always subject to change. And if there's one thing you learn in cruising, the plan you make now is not the plan that you're going to end up doing. But that's the plan for now, to be back in the States in like 2 to 3 years. Yeah. And by then we'll need another haul out.
But then we'll need another haul out. And I think it'll probably coincide with when we start to run out of money as well. Because like obviously we didn't like retire. We just are not working.
We love telling people that though, because they look at us and they're like, you guys, you're not old enough to retire. And we're like, yeah.
So we're living exclusively off savings and what we can make from Patreon and YouTube. And they'll probably start running out, I'm guessing around then, which is really good because we can haul out, get a job for a little while.
Yeah.
They're on the East Coast where we're familiar and have family.
Yeah. I'll go do a summer slammer. It'll be great.
Yeah. You make a ton of money though.
I know. The hours aren't very friendly though. But yeah, we will eventually be back in the States. It'll probably be a couple years until then though.
There's a good book. I think it's called Go Simple, Go Small, Go Now. And one of the ideas it talks about is that money has become freedom chips. So when you run out of your freedom chips, you go back to work to get some more, and then you cash them in for freedom.
Yeah.
So that's a fun way we've been thinking about money. Yeah. Freedom chips.
Are you planning on continuing to sail after you circumnavigate the globe? I don't know. I feel like it depends on the timeline, how things pan out, what life changes happen. We haven't quite gotten that far. We try not to think too far ahead.
I definitely envision myself sailing as an old person.
Yeah, but
if I make it to old age, like I don't have any doubt I'll have just like a ripping boat. Maybe it's still Lapa. You know, I've had it for 60 years.
That would be really
Sailed it across the world.
Or we just buy Nellie back. We find Nellie. We get Nellie back.
Tow it.
Yeah, we haven't put a ton of thought into full-time continuing. I feel like sailing, like you said, will always be a part of our lives, but I don't know if we will continue to do it full-time after we achieve the circumnavigation goal. We've always talked about...
But also the circumnavigation goal is long-term now because we're going east through the canal and not west. If our exclusive goal was to get around the world as efficiently as possible, we'd be going west now and just keep going west around the world until we hit the east coast of the States that way. But we're actively choosing to not do that. So we'll do an Atlantic circumnavigation, and then maybe sometime in the future, we'll do a Pacific circumnavigation, and that would conclude like a world navigation.
Yeah. Very far out in the future, though. One thing at a time. We have always talked about, like before we really commit to the living on a boat thing, we always talked about the alternative to that being buying like homestead and living on a big piece of land and just kind of off-grid living. Off-grid living has definitely been the like overarching goal here. So I think once sailing becomes either unaffordable or we just get tired of it, we'll probably look at buying, again, with what money, but we'll probably look at buying land and doing more like homesteading type stuff. I feel like there's like a sailing to homesteading pipeline happening right now. I feel like a lot of other channels are doing that same exact thing.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, we used to watch free range sailing
Oh,
all the
yeah,
time.
they're
We
good ones.
loved them,
Mhm.
and they are now also in homesteading.
Yeah.
They're cool.
That's our lives.
That's my life.
But this is our final countdown. So it's our last chance to order parts. We're starting to check the weather.
Yeah.
And in about 10 days, we are getting out of here.
Yeah. We will definitely be posting more on the Patreon once we actually get back in the water. I feel like life is just so much more exciting out there, and you don't want to see us sitting in the apartment all day, every day when we're not at the boatyard. Yeah. So if you are a Cabbage member and you have the Where's Appa tracking link, keep an eye on that in late November, because we are going to be moving fast for that first month that we're back in the water. We have to be in Puerto Vallarta by the beginning of December. So we're doing like 1,000 miles in 30 days. And we did almost 1,000 miles all of last year, like all together. So we're going to be cruising when we splash.
And Appa's ready.
Let's get in the water before we say that. We need to make sure none of the work we did leaks.
Yeah. Very fair. And hopefully Appa's ready.
Yeah. I feel confident. I only say that because I'm superstitious. I gotta go knock on wood somewhere.
I was looking for. I don't see any right now.
No. I'll move the cutting board over there. Yeah. Any final questions? We try to do half an hour for this. So if you have any final questions, give us a shout in the chat here. We'll give it a couple minutes. But if not, thank you for coming to the live. Thank you for asking the questions. We always enjoy this. It's fun connecting with you guys. So thanks for that.
Yeah. I always imagine it like a Zoom meeting. It always throws me off when it's just like us. We're looking at the chat.
That would actually be kind of fun. Yeah. We're still small enough that I feel like we could do that if we wanted to. So let us. You don't have to answer here, but comment on the live stream post on the Patreon feed. And if you want to do like a face-to-face like Zoom call type thing, let us know. We can try to make that happen next month. We'll see. Halloween Spirit, what's your favorite scary movie? That's an impossible question. Impossible question.
Big fan of scary movies.
I am a big fan of scary movies. And I feel like it changes every year because all the new ones come out.
Yeah, she was talking about her excitement for the month of October yesterday because all the new Halloween movies come out.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen everything, and I
can't wait for the new ones to come out. Which one you want to? You already asked.
Oh no, that's Hocus Pocus. It's from Disney. That one's for funsies. I did really like Immaculate, the one that came out this year with Sydney Sweeney. I thought that was fantastic. Honestly, if I'm going like classic scary movie, Hellraiser for sure is like top tier for me. I love Hellraiser.
I don't like scary movies.
Yeah, Will hates scary movies, and he hates that I like them because it means he has to watch them.
Yeah, no, I don't. I dislike when you fall asleep.
Yes, that's
and then
true.
I have to watch them alone, and I didn't like them in the first place.
Yeah, he thinks it's crazy that I can fall asleep while scary movies are on, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, you left me alone here in consciousness with this.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you next month, and leave a comment on the post over there if you would like to try to do a Zoom next month instead of just the live chat. That would be fun, I think.
Mix it up.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Bye. Thanks, guys.